Um, we're live.
Boom. What's happening? Hey, Abby.
Hi, Christopher.
How you doing?
Happy Wednesday.
I know it's a good Wednesday, isn't it?
It's a good Wednesday.
It's a good
How's
Wednesday.
work? You
Work
actually
is good.
home. You're not out of town.
I'm not out of town. I'm actually at the office this time. So I'll actually be stationed. Well, I can't. Let me not say that. I'll be stationary from week to week. We'll see. So yeah, so we'll see how things go. But yeah, it's good. It's good. So I'm excited about tonight's show. I think we got a cool little lineup. I'm ready to learn. All right.
I'm ready to learn
That's
too.
well.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Yes, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Redline. I am Abby Joseph, your tax strategist.
I'm Christopher Bush, your financial advisor.
And welcome to another episode of Redline. Victor, hit us.
That's 100. That's 100.
And we are back. We are back. Hey guys, we have an amazing show for you guys tonight. Tonight, we're going to actually discuss wealth beyond W-2, buy, sell, and scale business with private equity. We have a lineup of guests for you guys tonight. I'm going to ask you guys for a favor. Please, please, please bring all the questions. Bring all the questions because I'm here to learn and I know you are too. Yes. So let's bring on Don, Alan, and Brian. Welcome to the Redline. We're super excited to have you guys here. I think the cousins are excited to have you guys as well. So let's get started, right?
All right.
It seems like Abby's the only one that's not in blue uniform, huh?
I know. I didn't get the memo. See? Y'all should have made sure I get the memo. Next time, just make sure, just send me a little note. Abby, we're all wearing blue today. We're all wearing blue today. So awesome.
Absolutely.
So, gentlemen, you have to also understand, I am literally in a room full of men with knowledge tonight, guys. Y'all see this? All this money. I should have made sure I brought a sister. I should have brought a sister with us. But we are full of men with knowledge. You have Christopher, who's your financial advisor. I am your tax strategist. And we have three gentlemen with us tonight that's going to discuss, wealth beyond your W-2. I know a lot of you guys run your own business. I know a lot of you guys also are on your W-2s and you're looking at, okay, what's next? So tonight we're going to actually discuss that. We have Brian Stevens with us, Alan and Don. Why don't you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves and what is it that you guys do?
Absolutely. Well, it's great to be on the show. It's great to be a part of this. I'm a longtime cousin. I came on October. You might as well call me uncle. I came on October of 2020. I started following Mark and Jolene. I didn't know nothing about stock options, anything like that, calls and puts and any of that. So Mark taught me all of that. Initially started off with a lot of option calls and leaps and things like that 2 years out. As we all know that are in the stock market business, for the last 12 to 18 months, Jay Powell, what he raised the rates maybe 11 or 12 times. So instead of making calls, I'm making puts now. Well, I was making puts, but I'm a long time member of the cousins. I see we're 70K strong now, which is great because it was good to see Mark and Jolene have the vision to transition and pivot to more executive education. He pivoted away from not only talking about the stock market, but with Lawrence and Tiara's show, with the Redline, Mark and Mo, and Mark still having his show on Tuesdays is really great. So he made that pivot, which was great because it's all about knowledge, about education, as you spoke about there, Abby. My journey then, my real estate journey pretty much started around 2007, 2008. I was in the mortgage industry for a period of time. That was, as we know, around the subprime industry. Rates were really high, and mortgage rates were high, and it was due to a lot of loans that shouldn't have been processed. A lot of people were processing loans with no documentation, with stated income, stated assets. So banks were packaging what we call C prime with A loans, and it really created a foreclosure problem where people were trying to get out of things, and then the equity of their homes were going down. So it really created a problem. I did that for maybe about 3-4 years. Now I got back into my W-2 field, as we're talking about now. I was in the casino industry for a lot of years. I'm from Jersey. I worked in Atlantic City a lot of years in the casino industry, and I'm dealing with people that are gambling and losing money. They're drinking, they're gambling, and so I came to Florida. I said, let me get back into the W-2. I said, if I'm going to get back into my W-2, let me move to Florida. I want to be somewhere where the weather's warm. So I came to Florida. I went to South Florida, got back into my W-2 bag, and around 2019, 2020, got into real estate, residential real estate. That was a pretty trying time then to get into it because rates were on the rise, things were happening, but it was a very interesting time to be involved with it. I didn't transition I met through a mutual friend. I met Alan, who was in commercial real estate, and Brian, who's a business brokerage. And it was a really good meeting. I mean, the two of these guys, and you'll hear them talk. I don't want to put any kind of words in their mouth because I really couldn't, but you'll hear their stories and what their history is, and both of them come with a wealth of knowledge, 30 plus years of being in their business. But they had the mindset and they had that vision of joining forces, and they created a business brokerage and commercial real estate business. And it's really, it's all about education. It's all about, they even have another part, it's called with the online learning, and I'm sure Alan will speak to that also. But most recently, the reason I wanted to transition into business, I've only been doing this maybe a little over a year. So I wanted to bring these guys on. These are the partners of the firm. I wanted to bring them on to be able to share their knowledge and be able to, give value to the cousins. But I recently read an article in Barron's magazine, and it talked about business openings. And this is what really intrigued me. This is recent. This is business openings year over year, January through July 2023. So there was a 25% increase in businesses year over year from January to July of 2022. I also saw, and it's good to look at the figures from pre-COVID versus now. So pre-COVID, 2023, January through July, there's a 46% increase in business growth. So that's pretty amazing. I mean, that is. People pivoted from, you would think, maybe they would shy away from, but pre-COVID, people pivoted from what was happening then to now, wanting to start a business. And here's some more stats, and I'm reading my notes because I don't want to get it wrong here, but women-owned business year over year, up 25%. Black-owned business year over year, up 28%. Mm-hmm. Latin-owned businesses year over year, up 28%. Asian-owned businesses up 13%. So as we all know, and I'm sure Brian will get into it, a lot, valuing a business and understanding the business intricacies is a very tricky thing. And I don't want to feel like I'm in the casinos anymore with people gambling. So I want to be with guys that are professionals like Alan and Brian who can steer people in the right direction. And in their conversation, the meetings that we have, I'm sure these are the guys that do it. So with that said, I've used no bandwidth as we have an inner office thing. I've talked a lot, use a lot of bandwidth. Brian, I want to pass it on to you.
Got it. Okay. Caught that one. Okay. And we've been hearing Redline. Every time we're getting together, we meet twice a week out there, and I hear Redline almost every conversation. You got to check out Abby. You got to check out Christopher. They got the power. I tell you. So I'm hearing some great stuff about you guys, and I want to learn a whole lot more about you. A large percentage of my world is tied up in dealing with professionals that are tax people, CPAs, accountants, and financial advisors. And here's one of the reasons. The key thing that we do is, we're very, and Alan, you're saving the best for last. You're gonna have a superpower to like scroll off the screen and Alan puts that. But I'm gonna do my part of the bed, try to be as humble as I can and keep it going. Gotta love you guys because you help the clients. What we do is we help people acquire existing business and helping people retire. When we sell a business, sometimes it's larger than all of the economic wealth they've had in their 401k and their home combined. We're selling business I just had a client in my office that's doing $2.6 million in revenues for his roofing company. He's had cancer twice. He's beaten it, and he realizes he wants to go enjoy life. Somebody else is going to be able to come in instead of starting from scratch and barely making means happen and hopefully surviving in 3 to 5 years. They're taking over a 25 to 28-year business and be going to acquire $500,000 in revenues every single year when they acquire that business. You just can't do that with a startup. You hardly ever do that with a startup. And this is how we have. But we need people like Abby saying, well, here, let's get the taxes so it actually shows the money instead of telling Uncle Sam you didn't make anything, so you don't have to pay taxes, right? You know about it. You know, Uncle Sam, Joe Biden's got enough money out there to do whatever. So when we have Jesus, we got to have to sell our business. And then, Christopher, we're talking about, hey, when you get that business, and one of my lines we say is, it's not what you get, but what you get to keep. And then, for God's sakes, what you do with it so you have some money left over 2 years after you've gone to the casino with Don and hung out and spun the too many of the machines out there and all that sort of stuff, holding on to it and investing it. And this is really key to what we do. This is such an exciting thing. I tell people, you know, one of my taglines for people buying a business is say, if you're too old to move in with mom and dad, or your best friend couch is too big, too small for you, your spouse, your 2.3 kids, not alone the dog, then acquiring an existing business might be the right thing to do. And you can start up right away and make money out there. But the power of what you all have there. And the reality is that we fall in Florida and in 17 other states where you have to have a real estate license. So 33 states, it's a wild west out there. So if you're listening to this great show and you're in North Dakota or you're in Virginia, Maryland, DC, where I was born, all that sort of stuff, you don't even need any license whatsoever. But it's so important because we are dealing with hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars, sometimes multi-millions of dollars. And so you all know how important that is. But the other thing is that we're tied into commercial real estate all the time. And so, you know, Alan and I have been talking. Alan, I don't know how far back we go back, 15 years. I don't know. You know, since the beginning of time, we're like dinosaurs out there. You know, we're hanging there, but we're smart dinosaurs that love what we're doing. And it's so cool. So we're going to share more information about that sort of thing. And I want people to think about it. You know, if years ago somebody said, I'm going to start a business, I get into a business, and somebody said, yeah, selling cups of coffee might be cool. Well, that was probably like, you think, oh, this person's crazy, right? But Howard Schultz picked up 5 little stores in Seattle and Washington, and I just looked it up, 35,711 and counting. You know, it took existing, and if he had to start coffee shops from scratch, it might have taken him years, and he may have never have gotten to the trajectory. What he did was say, somebody's done all the hard work. How do you figure this out? What's good? What do people like? And then said, I'm going to take this, and now I've got the super genius. I'm going to lay my legacy on top of the next legacy and take it to worlds beyond belief. And everybody, whether you like it or not, whether you're a McDonald's or a Dunkin' Donuts coffee guy or gal, Starbucks has made its shot somewhere out there, and it started by buying 5 little businesses that everybody was saying, you're crazy, Howard. Why are you buying some coffee shop? There's no money in that. Anyway, I'm going to take it from there, and I'm passing the ball. I'm going to do this way.
Alan.
And roll on.
Hey, well, thanks, Brian. Thanks. And hello again, Abby and Christopher. Just wanted to mention that this is a beautiful thing. And the reason I say that is because I look at how I came into the commercial real estate industry many, many years ago. I was in radio and television. I used to do things like, good morning, this is Alan Thompson with sports. Trevino, we're from winning the U.S., Canadian, and British golf tournament. Was the first to tee off this morning in the second round of the $250,000 Westchester Golf Classic. He said, I'm getting punchy tired, even though Trevino was 1 under par in the first round, 40 golfers are ahead of them. And I'll have more sports in just a moment.
Wow.
Here's the ironic part about that, Abby, is that I ended up going ahead and I was coming back from Hawaii, and I saw an ad in the newspaper that said real estate commercial wanted. So I looked at it, and I was already doing some commercials, radio and television commercials and things of that nature. So I saw that ad, and I said, wow, maybe my agent missed this opportunity for me to audition for a real estate commercial. So I went in, and I knocked on the door, and I said, excuse me, sir, I'm here to audition for the real estate commercial. The guy says, what? I said, yeah, it says right here, real estate commercial wanted. He said, no, what that really should say is commercial real estate, but come on in and let's talk. I was filtering the word commercial as in radio, television, commercial. Only things I knew that a commercial was. I ended up coming in there, and then the people tell me when I tell that story all over the world, they say, wow, how coincidental. Not understanding that the word coincidental comes from angles in mathematics that perfectly coincide. The word coincidental comes from coincide. So what I believe was accidental or people thought was accidental was really supposed to happen. That's why we're all here today, because of a
Yes.
mistake that was made back then that I thought was a mistake. But since that period of time, it went on, and I have been in the industry now 42 years. I've
Wow.
trained over 350,000 real estate professionals throughout the United States and Canada. I've written several books. Brian and I have co-authored books on commercial real estate and business brokerage, as well as we've done things with how to soar in real estate. I'm certified and just a whole lot of things. But the beauty of this is to see how this comes together when you think you just don't know how life puts things in place, and they fall perfectly in place because someone out there needs the things that it is that we have to share. And one of the things that Brian mentioned is he and I met many years ago, and our love was for education. We love educating the real estate industry. So a part of that was we've actually created an online university, Legacy Academy of Learning, where we're looking at education because not only is it just a W-2, but we find that there's many people that need financial literacy. I was in banking. I mean, my career was just a beautiful thing because I was a senior VP at Bank of America in charge of Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and Tennessee, a $30 billion budget. I was with Stewart Title. I was with GIAC and Realty, a lot of different companies that I got a chance to be on the platforms and to learn, because I tell a lot of people, I'm just basically just in a sense, I was able to stand on the shoulder of giants. And even a dwarf that stands on the shoulder of a giant can see further than the giant, because they allow me to stand on shoulders. And I could look out there and beyond, I could see some of the things that we needed to turn and change. And I'm watching this entire world evolve into a lot of things. So Legacy Academy of Learning, the education piece is to educate individuals and to get real. I mean, not only in the area of business brokerage and commercial real estate, helping you to be able to escape the rat race. If you want to escape your W-2, there's lots of ways that you can do it. We've got the numbers, evaluations, and what have you. But do you have the passion? Do you have the commitment to really want to put what it takes in there to actually get there? We also notice that we're creating an application that's called a Try, Track, and Modify Mental Health Mindset Mastery application through Legacy Academy of Learning. And the reason being is because there's a lot of people out there that's suffering, but they're suffering in silence. They got the game face on. They look real good on the game face, on everything and what have you, but they're suffering in silence. And that's affecting who they really are and how they perform. And we want to just give back. We're in that mode of where we are, and our hearts are saying, we're glad to be used. I'm glad that I read that article and thought that it was a commercial that led me to this, that led all of this into these pieces and what have you. So it's a beautiful thing. And with that, I'll go ahead and stop because I'll start a seminar.
Well, let's get into it. How about we get into it? Okay, so from my understanding, Legacy Venture Group mainly, focus on buying, selling, and acquiring businesses that help people and connect people to do that. Correct?
Yeah.
Is that correct? Boom. Okay, so let's kind of talk about the process. Talk about what's the process of buying a business. What type of businesses do you guys have? I was trying to look on the website as you guys were talking, but I couldn't get the search part. The search part work or no?
And what was the last question you said there, Christopher?
There's the search part. I was on the website. I was trying to look at the search,
Biz USA. You'll see it on there, and so yeah, we have a lot of education. We're very big on what we find, like business owners know so much about their businesses. They learn the hard way. They've done all this stuff out there. They created this manufacturing company, or maybe it's a hair salon. We help people from we have a team of people that know all kinds of different industries. And they know all that, but yet they have no idea what it takes to sell their business. Unfortunately, if you type in, why businesses don't sell, you'll see articles from Forbes, Inc. magazine, Exit Planning Institute that show that like 70 or 80% of businesses fail to sell because the owners just don't know what they're doing, and it's really a struggle. And Christopher, you're the person that's needs them to sell so you can invest their money so they can retire, right?
And that's actually one of my.
And then when they get that big income, they go to Abby and like, okay, well, let's make sure we got the asset allocation. Not too much is in goodwill, not too much is in the wrong spot, and all that stuff. But we got to get them through that part. And Don's come on board with his passion. Alan's been there with me, and we're really helping people. We say step one, really find out what your business is worth today, even if you don't know what it's going to sell for a long time down the future. Alan and I just met with a guy just a month ago in automotive, a wonderful man, and he had some numbers in his head. He was kind of right, but he was multiplying the numbers so that he thought he was going to get 1.2 million, and he would be lucky if he got 0.2 million the way things were right now. And he was mature in years, and he was really counting on that extra money. And that's heartbreaking to see because you can't change the marketplace unless you have the right knowledge. Knowledge is power, and that's what we're all about. But knowledge is not power if you don't put it to use. And that's what we're here to do, is provide that love. On the buying side, the same sort of thing. We have a lot of people with the W-2s, and they say, I'm tired of corporate America. I'm tired of telling people, doing what they're telling me to do in corporate America. I want to call my own shots and do my own thing. You guys are doing the same thing. We're all of us on here are entrepreneurial and doing our own thing out there. And it's a beautiful thing if you got the passion. But it's beautiful if you start off, you got a wife and kids, or a husband and kids, and payments. Starting from scratch might not be the best thing. It might not give you what you need.
Okay, so then, take us to the process. Let's just say I do have my own business currently, right? Yeah. And I'm looking at selling it. How does that process looks like?
Yeah. Hold on. I don't want to interrupt, but let's start from buying a business. Then once we buy, let's do the buying first. Yeah, let's start from the buying part first, and then we'll talk about selling. Right? Is that way?
There you go. So
buying a business. Go ahead, Abby.
No, you can continue, Chris.
Yeah. So let's say if I am entrepreneur, I want to actually have an instance right now. I actually have a client. Maybe you can help. Real story. So I have a client right now. Her current business makes about, let's call it around $3 million currently now, right? But she's tired of being in that business, right? So number one, she wants to sell the business. Again, that's another conversation. But the first thing is she said, well, Chris, before I sell my business, I need something else that I want to go into. I want to buy another business. So can you talk to us about buying an existing business? What type of businesses do you guys, I guess maybe you have on your platform that's already like for sale, things are looking at? Like, how do you guys say, okay, I'm willing to buy, I have X amount of dollars cash. I know I should have a particular amount of net worth available. What does that look like to buy a business, and how do you guys help marry a relationship between somebody that wants to buy to businesses that you guys already have on a platform? Kind of walk us through that part, because I think a lot of our viewers just want to know tell us the how.
Anybody want to hit that off the tee, or you want me to start off and carry on?
Well, we'll start off. Brian, because depending upon how in depth Chris wants us to go, this could be a very abbreviated conversation between, getting them qualified, the passion and everything else. But you go ahead and start it off.
Yeah, I'm working with a number of clients right now that are just buyers. I have a lady who's probably in her 50s, and she lives in Atlanta. She wants to move to Florida. She's always wanted to be here. She's accumulated a large amount of wealth, and yet she wants to leverage her investment, and she wants to fulfill her heart, her passion, as well as her wallet, and take care of the needs. We're human beings, and we're designed with, character, what we dig and what we think is cool and all that sort of stuff. And now she's freed up. She's got the freedom, and she's got a goodly amount of wealth. One of the first steps that we had her do was to sit down with a couple of SBA lenders, because we know the best businesses, the very best businesses, are SBA pre-qualifiable or purchasable. And that means somebody can get in with maybe 10%, but usually at least no more than 20% down, and they can buy a business. So if you got $100,000, you could potentially buy $500,000 to a $1 million company. Right?
So is it okay? So that's the first thing. So if we want to be able to see if we can get a business that can be easily SBA qualified, and is that kind of like the first kind of criteria, or kind of easy?
That's the top. That's the best of the best. That's the Taj Mahal. That's the best of the best. Ones that are SBA pre-qualifiable. The second level.
So how do we get that list? How do we know those businesses that are SBA qualified? How do we get that?
That's tough. That's where it helps to come to people like ourselves, because we can sort through the marketplace. If you go on the internet, you type in buy a business, you're going to see all these companies, Quest and Biz by Sell and all that sort of stuff. But there's a lot of nonsense in the marketplace. We have a database of about 2,500 businesses at BuyBiz USA, first of all. And in that, if you type in, show me ones that are pre-qualified by the SBA, generating at least 6 figures income, you're going to find that probably only about 20%, if that much, have all those criteria. Doesn't mean the other ones aren't good. There's also great opportunities for people, but the very, very best are the ones that are SBA pre-qualifiable. So you do your search on there, and hopefully, if you do internet ads, you don't go through people like ourselves, which you can. You look for stuff that says SBA pre-qualified on the listings. If they don't have it, then we have a way of searching a lot of stuff through the BuyBiz USA and buybizfl.com. I'm not trying to advertise it right now, but we're certainly proud of what we do.
No. You only show that. You don't have to. Okay, y'all don't have to be generic tonight. Y'all can. I don't. You know what I'm saying? So you can advertise, like, you don't have to be scared. Like we're not. Nobody else. We ain't going nowhere else.
Okay.
We're not going nowhere else.
All right.
We're going to Legacy Venture Group. So let's go. What does Legacy Venture Group do?
Okay.
You find that, and then the other thing that people have to do is they need to know a few things about themselves. Find what turns you on. What's exciting. What do you want to do? What do you love to do? Right, and open your mind a little bit, because you might think, years ago I had a gentleman that had an MBA, a real smart guy, engineer, and he said, all I can do is restaurants because I don't know how to do anything. We put him in a plumbing company, and since then he's bought an air conditioning company and electrical contracting and developed all over. But you can do far more than you think, especially if you've been working for a while and you know about business and dealing with people and all that sort of stuff. Open your mind to find out what's in your heart a little bit, just a little bit. But number 2, know what your financial well-being is. If you don't have any money right now, that's kind of tough to get. Then you need to go, family, friends, and fools. That bank account set of people. Hey, give me some money.
I love it.
Right. That's the other way. But if you got some money, and you might have it even in your 401k, and Christopher, you might know about this. There's ways
you can do the Rob's plan.
You can create your own corporation and use that as investment money, and then tie that to an SBA loan. And say, you got $200,000 and you want to buy a business that's worth $1 million. Well, that business might be generating $400,000 in cash flow coming to you. Now, if you pay the bank, you still have $300 or $275, and you say, I might be able to eat at McDonald's every day for $275,000 a year income. And you say, well, I'm pretty happy about it. I might get Starbucks once in a while. So you can do that sort of situation.
What's the minimum? What's the minimum? Would you say if any of us wake up tomorrow and we say, hey, listen, I want to buy a business. What's the minimum that you guys would say that, hey, listen, you need to have this much in the bank? If you're even thinking about buying a business or a franchise.
Abby, that's such a great question. And you're going to see the soothsayers, the magical people that say buy a business with no money down. Go find them and put on your show. But that doesn't happen very often. Most people have something at work, want to get something in return for it. The reality is, so on the lowest end, I'd say maybe 50,000 in savings, 401k, retirement, something like that out there really makes a big difference of buying something. Because let's work it backwards a little bit. Let's say you can buy a business that's worth 5 times that amount that you have. That's $250,000. And let's say that businesses in general sell between 2 and 3 times that earnings. So you might buy a business that's making $80,000, $90,000, or $100,000. Okay. So I work it back like that. So 50 is a good amount, but I've seen people leverage stuff. I had somebody that came in with $10,000 and got a seller to do seller financing. They were in an urgent way. But the reality is, it helps to have a chunk of money, but you don't have to have it in your bank account. It could be in your 401k, IRA. Talk to Christopher, get that money going and that sort of thing. But be careful. Don't just pull it out. Do it the right way. If you listen to this, because you don't want to be paying. This is no taxes, no penalties. This is just another corporate investment, right? And we'll go into a whole other show about that if you ever want to.
Corporate investment. Yeah, we'll come back for corporate investment.
I only want to just add a little on that passion portion of it, just circling back just a little bit back into the discovery portion, because I sold a business to a guy because it's important that you're passionate about it and you're not just looking at the numbers. Because if you ended up just looking at the numbers and saying, I want to get the one that's going to give me this, that, the other, and I got this, then you may be missing it. Because I had a person that was a ex-MMA fighter and trainer, and he just wanted, and he needed citizenship, so he wanted to buy something, and he didn't really care what he bought. He just wanted it in order to get citizenship and to get a visa and what have you. So he ended up buying something that he stayed in it about a year and said, I don't like this business at all. And I told him that from the beginning. He was buying it for the wrong reason. So it really gets into the point of the consultation process and the discovery and see, what is it? Who are you? What do you want? More so than just the money. We can find some of that, and we can probably find a way that we can get someone to do some owner financing and some SBA and everything else and get you into that income. But is your passion there? That's the other side of the coin. So,
Alan, you might get me there because if I'm all looking at the numbers. I'll worry about passion later. So if I'm looking at the, I'm just being honest. I'm a numbers girl. Okay. So and I absolutely do agree. Yes, you do have to be passionate. But sometimes what I do find is that the passion is there, but we're really naive with the numbers as well too. So it's one thing to be passionate about what it is that business that you want to get in, but okay, if that business is not the business is going to bring in the income, we also have to be realistic about the numbers. How do you guys balance between the passion and the numbers? I'm a numbers girl.
Well, I think, and Brian, you can jump in here, but I'll just say, whether you're going to be an owner user, owner occupier, or you basically just going to buy it for the numbers and say, I'm going to be, hands off. I can care less. I mean, I've got a good manager in place or whatever. It's a little bit different. This guy is basically purchasing that for a visa to come in here and actually to work the business. He was not buying the business and basically saying, leave everything as it is, and I'll just look at it from this high. And as long as it's doing what it does, I don't have a problem with it because I'm tied to the numbers. Like you mentioned, Abby, that's a different buyer. That's a different person. All of this comes out in discovery. And then you find out. And as long as you match the people to their passion and their purpose, it all works.
So what would you guys say for?
You're so right about the numbers. And if you do the SBA route, they're going to do a lot of the work for you to make sure that it makes sense, because the bank isn't going to lend money. An SBA lender and Bank of Tampa or Bank of America or whatever the banks are, they're going to check things out pretty well. It doesn't mean you can't end up on the wrong end in some ways because things happen, but in general, they're doing that. Number two, the process, and Christopher, you were asking about that. You find the business, you get the money, you create your budget. Once you see a business that you actually like, there's a whole thing called due diligence where you're really ferreting out stuff like that. They're probably coming to people like Abby and saying, hey, Abby, can you help me verify what these taxes are saying? And that's the thing. It's a very careful process for the wise and intelligent people. But on the other hand, I don't think Stephen Jobs needed some extra money, so he created, that worked on the iPhone or, 1,000 songs in your pocket. He wasn't broke. He was passionate. He was like going crazy about it. Howard Schultz, more store, only 37,000, 35,711. 12 will be coming up tomorrow or whatever. These people are driven by what excites them in life because, how many times you probably both doing things you love. Is that correct, Abby? You love what you're doing?
Sometimes.
Most of it.
I do. I'm just playing. I love what I do. I love numbers. I love people. I'll probably be the extrovert accountant that is out there, but
you're one in a million if you're an extrovert accountant. I can tell you're totally unique, and that's very, very. I know one other one, and I can tell you he lives in Texas. That's the only other extrovert accountant.
I'm the
I do love what I do. I do remember because my background is engineering. But I did not wake up in 2008 and say, you know what, I want to sell life insurance, right? Because that's how I got into the industry. Right? So it wasn't a passion. I didn't wake up and say, man, I'm just passionate about insurance. Hell, I didn't even know what life insurance was when I got into the financial industry. My mindset was like, okay, I'm making 6 figures from an engineer, right? But I was trying to do real estate, but I didn't have money. So I was like, well, logically, if I sit down with people that have money, then maybe they'll do real estate with me. That's why it started with insurance and became a financial advisor. Then now I love it, right? So it's just interesting, but for me, love people. I love helping. I love problem solving. So for me, an engineer, I love problem solving. So if I can be in a business that I'm always able to solve problems, that's where my love and passion comes from. Right.
So that's beautiful. And see, that's similar to mine. I mean, I didn't know I was going to be in the real estate industry. My path was
not
really.
with that voice.
Hey, look at you. Hey, but here's the interesting thing about what Brian said when he talked about the Starbucks and how it shows. One of the interesting things, I read that book, and he had wrote a book called "It's Not About the Coffee," and he said that in that book, he said that the reason what he was creating is ambiance, and these coffee shops that when you went in there, you got a certain feeling. And so it drew you, and you were okay paying the higher prices for that experience that you were getting. He said, because it's not about the coffee. He said, because really 90% of coffee is water, and everyone has water. It's about the experience. It's about how you make that person feels when they finish talking with you or meeting with you. What do they feel? Because if you make them feel good about any situation, they want to do it again. So passion has got to be in there, and you got to love people, like you were saying, Chris. And the same thing with you, Abby, and I love your personality. I mean, you're definitely, you're out there and different from a lot of the accountants that we know and what have you, or strategists and what have you. Same thing with Christopher. Awesome, and I love this. So I'm glad to be a part of this. We'll keep on with the questions so that we.
So what we got? Okay, so you said SBA. You said so SBA qualified businesses.
Yes.
Give us some example. Give me some examples of some SBA qualified businesses that one would kind of look for and go for. Talk to us.
Yeah.
An SBA lenders, you said?
No. You said so.
My phone, my line just.
You said look for businesses that are SBA qualified, and those are kind of the best business for to go out to buy. So I was saying, what are some of the types of businesses or industries that are qualified?
Excellent. Here. Almost every business is sellable. Almost in every industry, and we sell a lot of stuff. I mean, the hottest things out there. The food and beverage is number one, but it has a lot of demand for hours and stuff like that, restaurants and that sort of thing. The number one in terms of dollars sold in Florida last year was in the construction industry, so plumbing, heating, electrical, all that sort of stuff. The challenge with some of those is some of those require a licensing, special licensing, and they can take a couple of years to get to, right? And then there's other things. Like this year, we've sold an online boat parts company. They just sold online boat parts. It was very easy. The weird small things you could never find anything out there. We sold a company that purified the refrigerant that comes out of air conditioning systems, but big ones like the skating rinks and the airport, stuff like that. And they purify it, and that thing sold for multiple millions of dollars. We had multiple people looking to buy the business. Some company out of Canada acquired that one and was delighted about it. But all those were SBA pre-qualifiable, and somebody could buy a business. One sold for hundreds of thousands, and one sold for millions and millions of dollars.
Do you find that businesses? Do you find that service sales are easier to buy or sell than products? Those who are providing a product.
My bias is that services are better. I mean, if you had a retail location somewhere, at some point you could give away stuff for free, and people aren't going to drive from Nebraska down to get to you. But if you're selling like what we all of us do here, we serve a service, we can reach the world, and so I think that's empowering. It depends a little bit on personality. Okay. The lady I'm helping from Atlanta to try to move down here today, she was talking with a wedding business. And they do weddings. And Alan's been helping work on this thing out there. It's a $7.5 million company. They do 17, 18 acres of flowing real estate and 3 wedding venues. And she's excited about that. And you know what? I love it, but I'm not really into talking to goofy brides and making sure that they don't spill wine all over their dresses and all. That wouldn't be my thing. So it's a little bit what turns you on. And she's really excited. And it is. Alan, is it a good business?
Beautiful business, and the numbers work. And again, it depends upon. I mean, I talk with someone about it because I deal with things like I've dealt with people that wants to buy and sell gold mines, islands, all kinds of things in the commercial aspect of it. Because see, real estate, I also teach real estate. I teach for the Florida Real Estate Commission, so I teach the principal practices and the law. And the entire book comes alive when you're talking about mineral rights and buying subsurface rights and just quite a bit of things. It's just phenomenal because of the fact that, there's a lot of things that huh? Who said something? Did they ask something or what? But no, but there's just a lot of things. And this is the reason I say that you got some people that they'll also want to buy multifamily, like they want a 280 unit apartment building because they're looking at the income to escape the rat race. So whether they are wanting to say, okay, this will replace my income, and then what I'll do is every 5 to 7 years, I will do a cash out refi and put the money back in another one. And people are building a lot of wealth, a lot of ways in real estate when they have the knowledge. So that's one of the things that, that basically Brian and I and Don came together to do, is to share that knowledge and to say, okay, there's a lot of ways to get to your end goal if we know what that end goal is. So, I mean, it's just phenomenal. So yes, that business, I did talk to someone about the 18 acres. Their thought was, can we repurpose that? Can we get rid of that wedding venue and put affordable housing on there? Because there's an issue with affordable housing. So they want to look at, is there a possibility of rezoning that 18 acres so that they can put multifamily, and if there's no height restrictions, they can put 4 or 5 stories of multifamily affordable workforce housing. So, I mean, there's a lot of things. It's beautiful and just exciting to be in an industry like this.
So, Chris, I was thinking we should try to get an island. We should try to buy an island.
I've got one that you can buy. There's one. We got one. It's about 55 million. It's got a master plan already on it. It's in the Bahamas.
Yeah, we never have to go on vacation, Chris. We could just go to the island.
Absolutely, chump change, 55 mil.
Boom, yeah, there you go. I pulled that out of that drawer behind you. You got that in that drawer.
Absolutely. So let's talk about so the process working with you guys. So what does that look like? So let's say I'm interested. What's the process looking for you guys? Like what's like how do you guys broker the deal? What's you guys' cost? What does it cost for to work with somebody like you guys?
Well, one of the things I want to say is, most buyers understand why one business is more valuable than other businesses. Being in the real estate on the residential side, we're able to compare comps. We look at what's sold, what's the subject property, things like that. We provide what's called a CBR, comprehensive business review. And what that does, it's, really analyzes the business, and it gives you an idea of, well, why is this accounting firm over here selling for this amount and why is it selling for that? So one of the things that we provide is, once again, is that comprehensive business review, which really breaks down costs instead of, once again, you're not out there gambling, you're basing it on facts, you're basing it on some in-depth reporting done. So, and that's our expertise. That's part of it anyway, providing a CBR.
Yeah,
that's awesome. We do have some questions in the audience. Some people do want to know, do you guys is nonprofits also included? Do you guys also do nonprofits, or is just for profits?
Nonprofits are a sellable entity. Absolutely. We really don't specialize much in them, but we have a lot of information and data. We haven't sold them in the past, but absolutely, somebody's out there looking to buy or sell, and absolutely. For sure.
Awesome. And does SBA does it all for free? Is there like a fee when throughout the SBA process?
Right. Good question. So the SBA is a lending institution, just like getting a mortgage for your house. So they're going to usually initially meet with you for free and talk to you and say, Christopher, Abby, or whatever, you probably qualify for this. But a lot of it, unlike buying a house, is going to depend on the business that you acquire, because a lot of the money to pay the loan is going to come out of the revenues that come out of the business. But they're going to make sure that you've had the background, the skills, et cetera, and they're going to work on that. And then at some point, they usually collect a fee if you're approaching the acquisition of a business. At some point, they'll say, this looks good. They'll probably charge you a nominal fee up front to do a valuation to confirm everything. And then they make the money typically off the loan and some closing company that comes out of it. But they roll almost all that into the loan. So you're not coming out of pocket for that. You're just getting $1.5 million to acquire your next dream tax consulting company.
Awesome. We have another question from Louis. What about credit score? How does credit score, especially if they're inquiring another business, they don't have business credits? How does the credit score align with it?
We've seen as low as 640 getting in. And
Okay.
if you need some help, there's some great people out there that help you get your credit back. If your credit's not where it wants to be, a lot of us have gone through times and tough times, stuff like that. Don't despair. But 640 and above is typically it. The one thing, and I don't know, I have to check this because I saw Biden just erased the student loans. But if you have a debt that's unpaid and in conflict with the federal government, since this is a federal government-backed loan out there, you got to have a reckoning to take care of that past grievance with the federal government. So a big place I've seen is we've run into some people that had student loans, and then whatever happened in their lives, and 20 years later they're like, okay, I'm ready to get back on my feet, and they check all that stuff. So you have to sometimes fix that.
All right. Kayla wants to know, okay, are these franchise or are these usually owned, or can they be both?
Alan, you want to take some of this?
Yeah, they're both. I mean, they're both. It really depends upon what you're interested in. I mean, you got privately owned pizza shops, you got franchises. So we deal with both of them. So it really just depends on what your interest is. Some people don't want franchises because they come with a lot of rules and regulations and stipulations that you can't really be you and your own personality go into your business. You may have a concept or an idea of what it should look like, Mom's new pizza or whatever, Abby's Aunt May's pies, whatever. And if it's under a franchise, they're going to say, okay, you can't bring chicken into McDonald's, not chicken, this kind of thing.
That makes perfect sense. Kayla does have another question. Are majority of the people buying these business crowdsources or hedge funded?
Quite often, people want to know that you've saved up or you have some the term skin in the game on that whole thing. So you can generate some information, but if you've got some crowdsource, the banks are typically going to look into your bank account going about 3 months. How the money got there up until that time frame, that's usually a different story. But they aren't really excited about people that have no money, go get it from everybody else, and suddenly show up with the cash out there. So what we tell people, do whatever you want on that. Make sure you have some money in the bank for a couple of months. They go to the bank and just talk to them about what you're doing out there. If you borrow the money for your down payment from a source, and the bank is going to take that into consideration, going, well, you're going to have to pay that back too, and so it's going to affect.
Now you got two places.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So last year I had a client that we actually advised her that it would be best for her to sell her business, and now with the process though, it seems like and you guys can say if this is correct. So when she sold the business, part of the contract was that she had to actually stay in for a year to help the transition. Is that something that is big on when you guys help sell these businesses or buy them? That the owners usually try to stay in?
That varies a lot depending on the business. The roofing guy that was in the office here earlier today says he'll stick around for 6 months to a year. We've had other people that have given 2 weeks and transition, because you're gonna have to know some things about the business. And so it depends. If you're opening a pizza shop and you move from New York and you had a pizza shop, you don't need somebody to spend 6 months to show you how to put cheese on a pizza and put it in the oven type of thing, right? But if you don't know any of that stuff, you might ask them to stick around for a couple of weeks beyond the normal. True. It's negotiable depending on the buyer and the seller, right there. Alan, you got anything, or Don, you got something on that one?
Well, Don, you got anything? Or?
No, I was thinking the same thing. This all can be written in the contract, same as a residential would be. It's all written in the contract, and all that can be worked out. Usually, it does happen where they do stay around. I would want to stay around if I'm buying. I would want the previous owner to stay around if I'm buying a business.
Me too.
Didn't have a lot of knowledge about it, so
yeah.
Also, with the conflict of interest, I would also put a clause in there that they couldn't open another business within a certain radius. I think we've seen that sometime too. So geographically, we would want to limit if they want to sell a gas station on Main Street and 2 blocks down, open up another gas station. Well, we have limitations on that. So all that's, once again, is absolutely written in the contract.
Yeah,
So
that's kind of a,
Mhm.
excuse me, that's kind of a non-compete clause that he's speaking of, but there's
Right.
also one issue that an individual want to look at, and that's a customer concentration issue. If you're going to buy a business and that business name is Jordan's, and Jordan is the mechanic that has been at that place for all of these years, and they buy that business and Jordan's leaving, and Jordan's going to open up outside of that non-compete, there's a good chance a lot of those people are going to follow Jordan. And so the numbers that you were expecting to get because of what you saw, that really came from Jordan or any other customer concentration. So there's a lot of things that an individual really needs to know and to focus on during the three real main parts of due diligence, which is the physical part, the financial part, and the actual legal part. And in all those cases, we will be referring them to people like you guys, like Christopher, for his financial advice, and like you for the taxes and to look over it and everything else, and to get that team in place, because the number one thing is relationships. Having the right relationships with the individuals that have the knowledge that can help you to make the decision that's best for you.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. You said, when it comes to personality, like a personality driven business, right? Is again, we definitely have to look at that, even for my business now, right? So, as I expand my firm, right, that's one thing I've been working on over here. Is just not just, okay, a lot of people come with me because I do great investments and advice, but also I want to make sure I build enterprise value as well, right? To understand that, okay, my business is just not personality driven, that my systems and my customer communication, all that is great, and I can build that enterprise value for my firm as well, right? So I think that's important for people to understand from a buying a business standpoint. Like, it has to be a system, or you will want to have a solid system in place before you come in, and that's not something that you're creating.
Absolutely. Now, gentlemen, if our audience are interested in reaching out to you guys, either for buying or selling a business, or even learning more, how can they get in contact with you guys?
Well, we have the website, lvgadvisors.com. There's one way. You can reach there. A lot of information on the website. I can also be reached at don@lvgadvisors.com.
All right, let's get that type in for them, Vic. Give us that one more time.
Legacy Venture Group, LVG, like Legacy Venture Group Advisors. Yep.
Okay.
And then we also have, and then we also have something we want you all to check out, which is our online university, because there's a lot of things that we're doing there that we will be posting educational articles and inspirational articles and courses, and there'll be consultants that's joining us there that will actually be putting out information as well. One of our consultants is he was the VP of Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. So he has a lot of information on hospitality and how to run restaurants, and he owned over 680 some odd restaurants before. So there's a lot of information that you guys can find, and that's at legacyaol.com. Legacy as in Legacy Venture Group, legacyaol.com.
Yeah, we thank you for the guys out there. Can I just wrap up on one thing that I'd like to say is I encourage people, because everybody thinks, there's fees involved when you sell a business. Usually people come to us to list a business. Everything is done highly confidentially. But I encourage people, don't go it alone, because there's so many elements that people just don't know. And and I can tell you as an example, in my own family, I had a family member that sold his automotive business to one of the guys that worked there. And 8 years later, the IRS called up and said, taxes haven't been paid. He said, I sold that business. I said, yeah, but you left your name on the document. This guy is impoverished and has no money, and there's a $85,000 bill that you need to pay, or we're going to come talk to you in person out there. And then we spent 4 more years paying off that IRS bill because he skipped one simple thing. You'd think all these things are so easy, and you can have two identical businesses, both making $5 million, netting $400,000 profit, and they could be radically different values. And we can help you overcome all that stuff. That's our passion. We want people to be successful, and we need people like Abby and Christopher to help up with the clients in that process too. So realize we need to chat with.
I got 2 clients for y'all now.
Yeah, Chris will definitely, and I love the fact you guys here in Tampa. So we will definitely have our brunch. We'll definitely have our lunch. I can't wait to meet y'all 3. I'm excited to meet you guys three. And I truly believe in relationship over transaction. I'm a big believer over relationships. So I'm glad the cousins, you guys, listen, we brought them to you guys. So don't forget, if you guys still have questions, don't forget to email us all of your questions. We had an amazing show. Brian, Alan, Don, thank you guys so much for taking time to come in here and just pour into our cousins. I actually think you guys going to come back because there is another topic. There's another topic I want you guys to talk about. That commercial, whatever you call it. Listen, cousins, y'all not the only one that be learning. Me and Chris,
you know how to contact us.
Yeah.
Right, Chris? We've been taking our own.
We would love to. We would love to because I mean, there's a lot to share. At 40 some odd years and 350,000 people and a lot of transactions and people that we've trained to do transactions, there's a lot to what we can offer. So if you guys want us back, we would love to.
Man, yeah, absolutely.
I don't have that many years, by the way. Just roll it out.
A lot of knowledge, Joe. A lot of knowledge.
Come on.
Listen. Chris, I don't know if you have any last words.
No, I mean, I really loved it. I mean, I think that's what a lot of people need on want to understand that, okay, you just don't have to come with an idea, right? Yeah. A lot of times, sometimes people want to be an entrepreneur, but they may not know what business to start or how to do it. And I just think it's a really good way to kind of buy an existing business, put yourself in position to be able to do that. Right. And I think that having people to guide you through that, and you guys really stress on the importance of education and really finding a passion and really going through that stuff. And I think, not a lot of companies do that, right? Because they may be more focused on transaction based versus purpose based, right? And I think that's important when having a business. And I'm looking forward to speaking with you guys. Like I said, I do have a couple of clients that literally call me right now that I literally was texting people during the show. Say, hey, look, we got to call them. We got to get them on. So I'll be an advocate of you guys, and I'm looking forward to going through the process and see how things go. And see you guys again.
Awesome. I do want to thank you, Don. Thank you so much. I do want to give some shout out to Don for reaching out. Don and I have been talking for months, and he was just like, "Listen, Abby, we got to get this done."
See why?
Yeah, thank you so much.
He's a big fan. He's making us all a big fan of the Redline, so that's all right.
That is so cool. Thank you so much, Don. And Brian and Alan, it's a pleasure to meet you guys. I'm excited and can't wait to actually meet you guys in person and have lunch or brunch. Listen, cousin, thank you guys so much for showing up for another episode of Redline. We will see you guys on Wednesday for another phenomenal episode. Thank you again. You guys have a wonderful rest of your night. Take it, Victor.
Good night.
Thank you.
All right.